Not every tractor feature was a good idea. Some were pointless, some were overcomplicated, and some were so badly designed that farmers wondered what the engineers were thinking. In the name of innovation, manufacturers sometimes added features nobody asked for, features that broke easily, slowed work down, or made simple jobs harder than they ever needed to be. These weren't cheap mistakes, they were expensive lessons. Today, we're counting down the 10 dumbest tractor features in automotive history, the ideas that sounded great on paper but failed miserably in the real world. Watch closely, because you won't believe some of these ever made it into production. Number 10. Chrome everywhere. One of the earliest and most pointless mistakes in tractor history was the obsession with chrome. During certain decades, especially the mid-20th century, manufacturers borrowed styling ideas straight from passenger cars. Chrome grills, polished exhaust pipes, shiny badges, and decorative trim were added to tractors as if they were meant to be admired under showroom lights rather than dragged through mud, fertilizer, and crop residue. From an engineering standpoint, chrome offers absolutely no functional advantage on a tractor. It does not improve cooling, strength, durability, or safety. What it does add is cost, weight, and long-term maintenance problems. Chrome plating is extremely vulnerable to corrosion in agricultural environments. Fertilizers, moisture, manure, and soil acids attack chrome relentlessly, causing pitting, peeling, and rust underneath the surface. Once damaged, chrome cannot be practically repaired. It must be replaced, which is expensive and unnecessary for a working machine. The real stupidity of chrome on tractors becomes obvious after a few weeks of real work. Shiny exhausts discolor and flake. Polished grills become dull and rust-streaked. Decorative parts trap dirt and moisture, accelerating corrosion rather than preventing it. Many farmers quickly painted over chrome components or removed them entirely, not out of neglect but out of practicality. This feature existed purely for marketing. Manufacturers wanted tractors to look modern and premium to attract buyers in showrooms. But tractors don't live in showrooms, they live in fields. The moment chrome meets reality, it fails. The presence of chrome on tractors represents one of the earliest examples of automotive thinking invading agricultural engineering. It showed a clear disconnect between designers and real-world users. Tractors don't need beauty, they need durability. Chrome delivered the opposite, making it one of the dumbest features ever added to a working farm machine. Number 9. Carpeted tractor cabs. Few tractor features demonstrate poor understanding of farm life more clearly than carpeted interiors. At some point, designers decided that tractor cabs should feel like car interiors, complete with fabric floors, soft trim, and padded surfaces. On paper, it sounded comfortable. In reality, it was a disaster. Tractor operators climb in and out dozens of times a day wearing muddy boots, fertilizer dust, oil stains, and crop residue. Unlike cars, tractors operate in wet fields, dusty harvest conditions, and manure-covered environments. Carpet absorbs everything: water, mud, fuel, grease, chemicals, and holds it permanently. Once contaminated, it never truly dries or cleans. From a maintenance perspective, carpet is impossible to manage. You can't pressure wash it without destroying it. Scrubbing barely touches embedded grime. Over time, it becomes a breeding ground for bacteria, mold, and foul odors. In cold climates, damp carpet never dries. In hot climates, it rots. Either way, it degrades rapidly and becomes a health hazard. Worse still, carpet hides corrosion underneath. Moisture trapped below the carpet slowly rusts cab floors, bolts, and mounting points without the operator noticing. By the time the damage is visible, structural components may already be compromised. The real stupidity of carpeted tractor cabs is that the solution was always obvious. Rubber mats exist. They are washable, durable, cheap, and perfectly suited for agricultural work. Modern tractors now use them almost exclusively, not because of luxury concerns, but because carpet failed completely in real-world conditions. Carpeted tractor cabs weren't a minor mistake. They were a fundamental misunderstanding of how tractors are used, cleaned, and lived in every single day. Number 8. Exposed wiring and electrical systems. Electrical systems are unavoidable in modern tractors, but exposing them to harsh environments without proper protection is one of the dumbest engineering decisions ever repeated in tractor history. For decades, many tractors were built with wiring looms running openly along frames, under floors, and near engines, with minimal shielding from dust, moisture, vibration, or animals. This is a guaranteed recipe for failure. Tractors operate in constant vibration. Connectors loosen. Insulation rubs through. Dust accumulates and traps moisture, leading to corrosion. Rodents chew wiring for nesting material. Heat from engines and exhausts hardens insulation until it cracks. None of this is accidental. It is predictable and well understood. The result is the worst kind of failure: random electrical problems. Lights work one day and fail the next. Sensors give false readings. Starters refuse to engage. Entire machines become immobilized due to a single damaged wire worth almost nothing. Diagnosis becomes frustrating and time-consuming, especially in the field. From an engineering perspective, this isn't complexity, it's negligence. Electrical systems in agricultural machines must be sealed, routed away from danger, and designed with redundancy. Many manufacturers learned this lesson only after years of complaints, breakdowns, and farmer-led rewiring solutions. Farmers often rerouted wiring themselves, added conduit, wrapped looms in tape, or bypassed systems entirely. When users are forced to redesign factory engineering just to keep machines running, the original design has failed. Exposed wiring didn't just reduce reliability, it destroyed trust. A tractor that stops working because a mouse chewed a wire is not advanced, it is poorly engineered. Number 7. Low-mounted air intakes. Engines need clean air to survive. Tractors operate in the dustiest environments imaginable. And yet, many tractors were designed with air intakes mounted dangerously low, exactly where dust concentration is highest. This is one of the most baffling and destructive design decisions in tractor history. Low-mounted intakes inhale dust clouds kicked up by tires, tillage tools, and harvest operations. Air filters clog rapidly, starving engines of oxygen and causing power loss and increased fuel consumption. In extreme cases, fine dust bypasses filters entirely, entering cylinders and acting like sandpaper on pistons, rings, and cylinder walls. The long-term damage is severe. Engines lose compression, oil contamination increases, turbochargers fail prematurely. What should have been a long-lasting engine becomes worn out years early, all because of poor air intake placement. What makes this feature particularly dumb is that farmers immediately recognized the problem. Many fabricated snorkels, rerouted intake pipes upward, or installed aftermarket pre-cleaners. The fix was simple, cheap, and obvious, yet it wasn't implemented at the design stage. High-mounted air intakes reduce dust ingestion dramatically. They are safer, more efficient, and extend engine life significantly. The fact that so many tractors ignored this reality shows a shocking disconnect between designers and actual working conditions. A tractor engine that destroys itself by breathing dust isn't unlucky, it was designed poorly. Low-mounted air intakes didn't just reduce reliability, they actively shortened engine life, making them one of the dumbest tractor features ever created. Number 6. Complex electronics with no mechanical backup. Electronics themselves are not the problem. The real stupidity begins when tractors are designed to depend entirely on electronics without any mechanical fallback. In several generations of tractors, manufacturers replaced mechanical throttles, hydraulic controls, PTO engagement, and even transmissions with fully electronic systems that simply shut down when something goes wrong. And something always goes wrong. Farm environments are brutal for electronics. Dust, moisture, vibration, heat, voltage fluctuations, and rodents all attack sensitive components relentlessly. Sensors fail, wiring degrades, connectors corrode, software glitches occur. When that happens in a tractor with no manual override, the entire machine becomes unusable, even if the engine, transmission, and hydraulics are mechanically fine. This is where the design becomes fundamentally dumb. Farming is time-critical. If a tractor fails during planting or harvest, waiting days for a technician with a laptop is not an option. Older mechanical systems failed gradually. A sticky throttle could be worked around. A weak hydraulic valve could still function, but electronic systems fail instantly and completely. Even worse, diagnosing these failures is nearly impossible in the field. Error codes often point vaguely to system faults rather than clear mechanical problems. Farmers are locked out of their own machines, unable to troubleshoot or repair equipment they paid for. From an engineering standpoint, the mistake wasn't adding electronics, it was removing redundancy. Good tractor design respects the environment and the operator. It allows degraded operation when systems partially fail. Fully electronic systems without mechanical backups violate that principle completely. These tractors didn't fail because farmers misused them. They failed because engineers forgot that tractors are tools, not computers on wheels. Number 5. Side-mounted exhausts at operator eye level. At first glance, side-mounted exhaust systems seem harmless. They are simple, short, and cheap to manufacture. But placing a hot exhaust pipe directly beside the operator, often at face level, is one of the most thoughtless design choices ever repeated in tractor history. During long workdays, operators are constantly exposed to exhaust fumes, heat, soot, and noise. In still air or low-speed work, exhaust gases linger around the operator's head, causing headaches, dizziness, eye irritation, and long-term respiratory damage. In hot climates, the radiant heat from side exhausts adds to already exhausting working conditions. From a safety perspective, this design is indefensible. Exhaust components operate at extremely high temperatures. Operators climbing on and off tractors risk burns. Clothing can catch heat. Fuel vapors and crop dust increase fire risk. All of these dangers were well known, yet side exhausts persisted for decades. The fix was obvious and eventually adopted. Vertical exhaust stacks that direct fumes upward and away from the operator. These systems reduce heat exposure, improve air quality, and lower health risks. Once introduced, they quickly became the standard, proving that side exhausts were never a good idea to begin with. The reason side-mounted exhausts existed was not engineering excellence. It was cost-cutting and convenience during manufacturing. Operator experience was treated as secondary. Any tractor design that poisons, burns, or exhausts the person driving it is not just poorly thought out, it is fundamentally dumb. Number 4. Overly complicated gear patterns. Some tractors manage to turn the simple act of moving forward into a confusing ordeal. Multiple gear levers, overlapping ranges, unintuitive layouts, no logical sequencing. These overly complicated gear patterns represent a failure of human-centered engineering. Tractor operators work long hours, often under fatigue, heat, or stress. Controls must be intuitive and forgiving. When gear patterns become complex, mistakes increase. Operators miss gears, grind transmissions, stall engines, or select the wrong speed under load. This leads directly to mechanical damage and reduced productivity. Inexperienced operators struggle even more. Training becomes difficult, accidents become more likely, and in emergency situations, confusion can be dangerous. From an engineering standpoint, complexity is not intelligence. Well-designed tractors use gear layouts that follow clear logic, minimize hand movement, and reduce cognitive load. Poor designs force operators to memorize patterns instead of instinctively operating the machine. Many of these complicated transmissions existed because engineers prioritized mechanical packaging or added features without rethinking control layout. Instead of simplifying, they layered complexity on top of complexity. The result was tractors that worked mechanically but failed ergonomically. And when ergonomics fail, productivity and reliability suffer. A tractor should respond instantly and intuitively to its operator, not require a manual to move. Number 3. Plastic structural components. Plastic has its place in machinery, but that place is not in structurally stressed or impact-prone tractor components. Yet many tractors introduced plastic hoods, mounts, brackets, and load-bearing covers in areas exposed to heat, vibration, sunlight, and physical abuse. Plastic degrades. UV radiation makes it brittle. Heat causes warping. Cold causes cracking. Vibration causes fatigue. Unlike steel, plastic fails suddenly and completely. When plastic structural parts break, they often expose critical components underneath: radiators, wiring, belts, and fuel lines. Repairs are expensive because plastic parts cannot be welded or easily reinforced. Replacement often costs far more than steel equivalents. From an engineering perspective, this wasn't innovation. It was cost reduction, disguised as modernization. Manufacturers saved weight and manufacturing expense while transferring long-term costs to owners. Farmers noticed immediately. Plastic panels cracked during routine service. Mounting points failed under vibration. Machines began to feel disposable rather than durable. A working tractor should age gracefully. Plastic structural components ensure the opposite. Number 2. Useless luxury feature. One of the most damaging trends in modern tractor design has been the obsession with luxury features that add cost, complexity, and failure points while doing absolutely nothing to improve actual farm productivity. Refrigerators in cabs, oversized touchscreens, ambient lighting, premium audio systems, electronic seat memory, and climate systems more complex than those in trucks have all found their way into tractors, and almost none of them were genuinely needed. From an engineering standpoint, every added luxury feature is a liability. Tractors operate in environments filled with vibration, dust, moisture, and extreme temperature swings. Touchscreens become unreadable in sunlight, unresponsive with gloves, and unreliable in cold weather. Audio systems fail due to dust and wiring issues. Climate control systems clog with debris. Refrigeration units add electrical load and complexity to already stressed systems. The real problem isn't comfort itself. Operators deserve comfort during long working hours. The problem is misplaced priorities. While manufacturers poured resources into luxury features, core mechanical systems often remained underbuilt or unchanged. Weak cooling systems, fragile electronics, poor hydraulic reliability, and difficult service access continued to plague machines that now cost far more than older, simpler tractors. Luxury features also increase purchase price dramatically, pushing tractors beyond the reach of many farmers or forcing them into long-term debt. When these features fail, as they inevitably do, repairs are expensive and often require specialized technicians. Worse, some systems are integrated so deeply that failure of a non-essential luxury feature can disable critical tractor functions. From the farmer's perspective, this is madness. A tractor is a tool. Productivity comes from uptime, durability, and ease of repair, not from touchscreen menus and mood lighting. Many farmers would gladly trade half the luxury features for simpler, stronger, more reliable machines. Luxury in tractors is not dumb by itself. But luxury that compromises reliability, affordability, and serviceability, that makes this trend one of the dumbest directions tractor engineering has ever taken. Number 1. Designing tractors like cars. The single dumbest feature in tractor history is not a component, a material, or a system. It is a mindset. The decision to design tractors like cars has caused more long-term damage to reliability, usability, and farmer trust than any individual mistake ever could. Cars and tractors live in completely different worlds. Cars operate on paved roads. Tractors work in mud, dust, manure, crop residue, heat, cold, and vibration. Cars are lightly loaded most of the time. Tractors are overloaded constantly. Cars are serviced frequently. Tractors are expected to survive neglect and abuse. Applying automotive design principles to tractors ignores every one of these realities. This philosophy led to tight tolerances that don't tolerate dirt, complex electronics that don't tolerate vibration, plastic components that don't tolerate impact, and cosmetic styling that interferes with service access. Tractors became harder to repair, harder to diagnose, and harder to keep running, exactly the opposite of what farmers need. Automotive-style design also prioritizes appearance over function. Sloped hoods that restrict service access, enclosed panels that trap heat and debris, smooth bodywork that cracks instead of bending. These choices may look modern, but they actively work against longevity and repairability. Perhaps worst of all, car-like design removed mechanical honesty. Older tractors told you what was wrong through sound, feel, and behavior. Newer, car-influenced machines hide problems behind error codes and locked systems. Farmers are no longer operators. They are users dependent on dealers and software. A tractor is not a lifestyle product. It is a working machine that must earn its keep every day. When engineers forget that and chase automotive trends, the result is expensive, fragile equipment that looks impressive and fails under real work. That is why designing tractors like cars isn't just dumb. It is the dumbest mistake in tractor history. Those features remind us of one important truth. More technology doesn't always mean better machinery. Sometimes the smartest tractors were the simplest ones. And sometimes innovation went completely off the rails. Which tractor feature do you think was the dumbest of all time? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear your opinion. If you enjoy honest machine talk, design failures, and real-world farming stories, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Until next time, keep it simple, keep it practical, and keep the iron moving.